My props master and the one that was overseeing my gun training, he made a promise that he would make an excellent gunslinger out of me. And I believed that he was gonna help me, and he did.
The scenes were very long scenes and a lot of kind of long takes and stuff, and I always enjoy that as an actor because you just feel so immersed in it.
These are very typical historical situations that have been sort of non-typically represented in film. So as you take those stories and put them in the middle of the genre of a Western, the surrounding, the feel, the way we shot it, the drama, and then we sort of, add this sort of theatrical thing in the middle, hopefully it feels fresh.
Those white folk ain't coming back. Just because they don't want to look at you don't mean I can't see. You'll always be a slave to the white man.
What'd you call me?
I said you'll always be a slave.
Till you been on this side, keep your mouth shut. They rather hang me for the color of my skin than to hang you for what you did. You ain't never gonna hang white boy.
Good to see you again, Jamie. Good to see you again, Letitia. My God, this movie is excellent. I did not expect the depth here. Letitia, I want to start with you. I've interviewed you. We talked for the Silent Twins. This is another exceptional performance. How deeply did you dive into the time period and creating this character, finding that from that?
As deep as I could dive into it with all the information that was out there. Finding inspiration from Kate Williams, a real life Buffalo Soldier, black woman who was a part of this army of men who was hiding away. And I just combined not only the research of her, but the research of the world and the era, and just applied it to the script and just tried to tell the truth. So again, it was another opportunity to do something different and something meaningful.
Yeah, it's certainly meaningful. Jamie, this is another great performance from you. So good to see you again. How did you get involved with this project, and what was your take on this guy?
I was just sent the script, and I knew Letitia was involved, and I really loved the journey of Mo. I thought it was really clever what they were trying to do. I'd never seen it before. Letitia's been speaking very eloquently about, we just haven't seen this kind of thing before in this kind of genre. So that was intriguing to me. But more than anything, what I liked about it, quite indulgently, was that it was just basically two actors talking to each other, and you don't really get that very often. So all those things combined, it was just trying to find, what drives the characters, where they're similar, where they're different, and how can we just elevate it? How can we elevate the things they're talking about? How can we elevate this this chance encounter with each other? That it's more than chance. That this encounter was meant to happen. It was meant to test each other. And just how can we elevate the stakes at all times? So we did. So we just sat and we went through the script a bunch and talked about it a whole lot. And the filming of it was really. I always felt good about the stuff we were doing. I really enjoyed the scenes were very long scenes and a lot of kind of long takes and stuff. And I always enjoy that as an actor because you just feel so immersed in it, to be honest.
Well, and yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful character piece, but it's also the action is superb. What was it? I'm gonna jump back with you, Letitia, on this because the gun shooting the gun, all the stuff that you do, it's so expertly done. How much training did you go through?
Enough for us to. My props master and the one that was overseeing my gun training, he made a promise that he would make an excellent gunslinger out of me, and I believed that he was gonna help me, and he did. And it was just about paying attention. It was about paying attention, dedicating each day to it, and I just did. The worst thing you could have is a Western movie and someone saying, that kid didn't know how to shoot the gun, you know what I mean? So every time I would finish, I would go to my props master before I went to Anthony. I'd be like, what do you think? Did I do it well? And he'd be like, you got it, kid. So a lot of intricate, intimate training, and also just paying attention and listening and working hard. A lot of hard work.
Yeah. Well, the hard work clearly pays off for both of you, actually. This is an excellent film, guys. Thank you. We got to wrap, but thank you. Seriously, excellent film.
Thank you.
Join us. We're all equals here.
Nobody make sudden move.
Get on down.
Hurry up. Drop the rifle!
Anthony, man, I've very familiar with your career, the music videos you've worked on, the work you've done with Rihanna, The Killers, Jonas Brothers. What led you to this just really deep and powerful little film you have here?
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to meet you. I wrote my senior thesis at film school on the Western, exploring From Shane to Unforgiven. And so I think the tropes of the Western have always been sort of dear to me. And I've always been a big fan of the genre. I think like Monster, with this film and moving forward, I'm always interested in large landscapes and this sort of like crossroads of character and how they meet. And the ability to sort of explore the classic tropes, but actually turn them all on their head and actually take an audience sort of into the Western genre, but then slow them down into this sort of almost like Waiting for Godot theater in the middle of this movie, where you actually really see the truth between people. What you think is good and evil and right and wrong sort of start to turn its head. Who you trust and who you don't trust, and the trauma that's shared, really the human connection between two people when things slow down, only for them to sort of ramp back up into a genre again, was really interesting and something that I want to explore.
Well, here's the thing too, and you do this so well. This is a really excellent character piece on these two characters, two very different characters. But that's not to say that this is a thrilling film. You have the stagecoach sequence. There are several moments that are just edge of your seat sequences.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the balance of that in creating and still not cheating out the characters?
Yeah, I think there's that classic story about the shark in Jaws is only on screen for a couple minutes, right? But there's a level of tension, and I think that even movies like The Joker, I think there's way less violence in that movie than you think, but there's a baseline that's established. And so what we looked at with the movie was like, how much trauma can we establish in the first 5 minutes when it comes to the way people see her, which establishes the palette. Then how much violence can happen in a very short period of time after that. So you understand the stakes, right, of what's happened. And also the swiftness that people sort of shoot one another and attack one another and kill one another, but not in a way that we're used to now where people have endless bullets. This is one shot at a time. You got to be a sharpshooter, right? And so once you kind of establish the mystery of Mo and the world that she's living in and the very high stakes that we're in now the movie can sort of like slow down a little bit, but there's always that sort of tense sort of undercurrent, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. And that takes you all the way through, obviously, the scene with the Indians, the scene where you meet Michael Kay, right? This sort of like, you can then ramp that back up again once you've sort of found the truth in these characters.
Well, let's jump into Letitia Wright. This is a moving performance, amazing performance. How did you work with her to find the truth in her story, the Mo's character in this story?
Well, Letitia is a powerhouse of an artist and an actress, someone that really carries a life experience that feels way beyond her years, and she is able to bring it into a very quiet place at once and then a very explosive place, and there's this very fine line between the two, and she has an incredible control of that line. So she can whisper and say something with her heart, and then she can say something with a ferociousness a half a beat later. And it's very rare to feel somebody do that in an honest way, not an acting way. And so once she sort of got involved and started to take ownership over the character and really start to layer the character with her own experience and stuff we found in history, it just sort of found its authenticity. And I think that's what you're reacting to, is that there's something just unique and authentic and sort of like dynamite about her. You know, it's just packed in and it can explode at any moment. Or it can be this incredible, beautiful thing that you watch, you know, as it sort of exists.
Yeah, it's a powerful performance, man. I was blown away. I
Yeah.
also feel like this is a film that we haven't seen before. We've seen a lot of westerns. I grew up on these things, but I feel like this is a story we really haven't talked about, which feels obviously fairly relevant in the day in today's day. Was that kind of? But I don't feel like you pushed it too hard. Was that an intention to go, hey, this is a parallel between what we're going through now to an extent and what they went through back then?
No, it's kind of like three approaches. There's the classic Western tropes, which you want to have, right? Then there's the kind of like reverse on those tropes, which we definitely had. And then we sort of like saw an opportunity to take sort of what was happening in the world, you know, what's happening in the world, the way that we judge one another, the way we hold people at arm's length, the way that we make our story bigger than their story. You know, that met with the fact that no one had really made a story starring a Black woman hiding in what there's a very undertold, non-told, you know, pocket. Putting that all together, we saw something unique, and there was a real opportunity there. I mean, you know, Jamie's sort of like white privilege of like, untie me, you have no right, even though he's a mass murderer, right? And her sort of, you know, being forced to sort of live this very quiet, hidden, meager experience just to put a day next to another day, next to another day, to hopefully get to the place where she can plant her own flag. Having after, you know, just served in the army basically as a man in order to earn enough sort of, you know, reparations to be able to like buy a piece of land, buy a deed. And Jamie's character wanting to sort of scorch the earth in payment for the pain that was caused to him. These are very typical historical situations that have been sort of non-typically represented in film. So as you take those stories and put them in the middle of the genre of a Western, the surrounding, the feel, the way we shot it, the drama, and then we sort of, you know, add this sort of theatrical thing in the middle, hopefully it feels fresh. I mean, as a filmmaker, you know, I don't want to tell someone else's movie, I want to make mine, you know, and I think that, you know, one thing I'm really proud of Monster is that Monster, you know, is a movie told in the grays, where that story is generally told black or white. It's told sort of in the nuance in the middle. You know, I think this film sort of has a very fresh perspective on history, you know, and on people's stories.
I honestly, Anthony, I have to agree with you, and I mean, I really was profoundly moved by the film, and we got to wrap, but honestly, it's one of my favorite films of the year. I think it's really...
Oh, thank you. And we got to showcase my dear, beautiful late friend, Michael K. Williams, who I loved so much. You know, it was such an honor to have his last movie.
You done good, man. You done good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.